he's going to project my screen onto the... Good to go, Andy?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Evening, afternoon, whatever you want to call it. I just want to quickly, before I call the meeting to order, just we don't have
Public comment.
thank you, public comments in the agenda, but we will have public comments tonight. To try to keep things, the comments in the appropriate location, I'm actually going to do the comments for each item on the agenda, but I suspect we're all here for the item number 4, and hopefully afterwards, if people want to continue providing comments for the rest of the items, just raise your hand, let me know after Theron reads his part, and we'll have comments. On the comment side, I am going to ask Theron to read off the agenda item, give his description. In the case for item number 4, I'm going to ask him at least kind of give some background on his choice for what he suggests from a city perspective, what option we should choose. And then I'll welcome each of you to come up to comment at the podium. Please write your name down. And try to keep it within 2 minutes. I just want to keep these things moving. We do have another meeting after this one. So obviously, if it's a lot of, if there's opportunity, we'll extend it, but just trying to be fair to everyone. With that, I am going to call the meeting to order.
All right, thank you.
Please note the roles. One of our members is out this evening. I believe she's dealing with some personal things right now. Yeah. So with that, item number 3, I'm making a motion for the approval of the minutes for September 12th for the Public Works, Sewer, and Water Committee. Thank you. All's in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, how quickly we move along. Item number 4, discussion action regarding project ID 2022-117, Badger Mill Creek Asphaltic Path Options. Mr. Jacobson.
Thank you, Mr. Touche. MMSD and the City of Verona are teamed for Phase 2 of the Pump Station 17 Force Main Relief Phase 2 project. MMSD is the lead agency for the project. City is a party to the project to extend the asphalt path along Badger Mill Creek that was originally constructed during Phase 1 in 2021. This is also one of the projects that was originally identified in the PED bike plan that was finalized in the spring of 2017. The request from city staff of the committee is to obtain direction on which option for the paved path to engineer, permit, and ultimately construct. MMSD's route selection has been finalized. Therefore, the city's design consultant, MMSD, which is also the same design consultant that MMSD is using, there's too many M's in the statements, has completed the practicable alternatives analysis for the path alignment. It's one of the permit conditions that we need to satisfy. There's 5 options that are totaled, which will be talked about and presented tonight. Coordination has completed to date through MMSD's project and has included 2 public information meetings and also a neighborhood meeting that occurred in early August. With all those meetings, information regarding the path was included. The intergovernmental communication has been between MMSD, the City of Verona, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Dane County Parks, which there's a representative here tonight, and also the Ice Age Trail Alliance, which there's also a representative here tonight. As part of the second PIM on 8/24, a survey was organized by MMSD that entailed questions regarding project enhancements, with the path being one of those enhancements. A summary of the survey responses is included with the packet, and the letter was dated September 13th, 2012, 2022 with MMSD's letterhead. There was 109 responses to the survey, with 70% of them being within the City of Verona. The 2 main options for discussion that we're seeking tonight are option 1 and option 5. Option 1 is described as the paved path being on the north side of Badger Mill Creek and parallels Badger Mill Creek from the termination point near the Pine Forest and the Arbavita connection to the Military Ridge State Trail south of the Little League Complex. Option 1 also impacts the Ice Age Trail. Option 5 parallels the Lincoln Street channel to the junction at the Military Ridge State Trail area south of the ice arena. There would be no impacts to the Ice Age Trail with that option. Option 3, 4, and 5 all share a similar alignment for the paved path being parallel to the Lincoln Street channel. In review of the survey results, 59% of the people voted for option 4 or the write-in option 5, with an additional 10% voting for option 3. Without looking into the individual results, the summary can be concluded that 69% of the votes indicate a preference for the Lincoln Street path alignment. As identified in the survey results, the Ice Age Trail is intending on pursuing option 5. Therefore, the Ice Age Trail remains in the current location, except for realigning south after the easterly bridge where it connects to the Military Ridge Reserve, and then it would connect to the old PB pedestrian bridge that was constructed in 2018 that connects the gardens to the park and ride. Included in the packet, let me back up, option 5 is estimated at around $650,000 versus option 1 just under $820,000. Included with the packet are figures of options 1 through 5, which I will put on the screen as needed. The practical alternatives analysis that was prepared by MSA, which Kevin Lord here is to present those as needed, and then the synopsis letter from MMSD regarding the survey results. And city staff and the design consultant can provide an overview of any of the options, any of the information that's in the packet. Also, Dane County, I have spoken with them. They are well aware of this, and they also support option 5 within this, because it is all their lands that are within that would be impacted. So that's kind of the overview that I wanted to give, and now I will open it up to you on the.
So I appreciate you sharing the overview. Darren, from a public works and a city administrative perspective, do you have a preferred option?
I mean, option 1 is definitely was preferred, but looking at all the input that was presented to us, looking at the engineering, the results from the survey, option 5 is definitely a viable option that would suit the needs of all, minus the utilities, but we can work through that. They're both, option 1 and 5 are constructible. Option 5 is a viable option.
So no preference, but both work.
Both work. 5 is very doable.
Okay. If I remember right, along with option 1,
I'll put option 1 up on the screen so everyone can look at it.
there was some concerns around the Ice Age Trail if we were to choose to go with option 1. Can you share those concerns?
Yes. Option 1, the concerns regarding the Ice Age Trail was you're displacing it, putting it on the south side. You got some adjacencies to the neighborhood. There were some drainage concerns. It's in a natural location that it is now with more scenic views. Those were some of the highlights that I recall from statements from users of the trail and then the neighbors also. The path is going to be detoured throughout construction no matter which option is selected because MMSD's route is finalized. Granted, it's got to go through the permitting process, so I don't want to speak for Rachel's project, but I know things could change, but most likely not. So basically, their project would displace the Ice Age Trail temporarily, just from a safety perspective of they'd be right in the work zone.
So I'm hearing temporary displacement of the Ice Age Trail. Was there, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that there was a desire by the Ice Age organization to have the trail on the other side of the creek. Is that correct? Is that still the case?
There was conversations with that, but at this point, the Ice Age Trail is looking at option 5. And Chad, if you want to add anything to that, you're more than willing to expand on that. Yeah, go to the mic just because everything's being recorded. Thank you.
Sign in here. Good afternoon, or evening. My name is Chad Duchateau, the Director of Trail Operations with the Alliance. And yeah, as far as your question goes, we, we're trying, to have a separate footpath for the trail. So that was the idea, by pushing it to the south side where you'd follow option one. But as Theron said, judging by, the sort of the public comment period, the idea would be to pursue option 5, where it's existing route. It has its own footpath, which is what we're trying to do, separate from bikes and things like that. So that's why we are feeling that the option 5 would be the best route for all user groups.
No, that's fair. I'm just really trying to explore the pluses and the minuses of all the options, and I think for time's sake, we're going to focus on 1 and 2. 1 and 5, my apologies. But if we were to decide to go with option 1, let's play the game, right? Let's get all the pros and cons out. I believe that because you're of the Ice Age Trail's desire for separation, that your organization was pushing for the trail, as you said, to be, is it the north side? It's kind of hard to tell the way the map.
North is up on the page, Evan.
So on the south side of the creek, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And then along with that, you guys were asking that the city put in a raised path for that. Is that fair? Is that correct?
We
Or
weren't asking,
boardwalk?
we weren't asking for the city. I mean, the idea would be, most, whatever it is, a quarter of a mile would be just a mowed path. And if there were wet areas, then we'd look into, some sort of boardwalk structure to eliminate the potential for wet ground, things
Sure.
like that,
And it was your desire that the city would put that in. Is that fair? Is that correct?
We would do the work with our volunteers.
Oh, you would?
Yeah, we'd lay it out and go through the compliance issues and things like that, and, signage, all that sort of stuff would be done with
Sure.
Dane County volunteers.
Okay. No, that's great. I just want to make sure that what I'm hearing and what you're saying either align or you correct what I've heard, so I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
then we would work with, Dane County Parks if, things, for structures and things like that, if we had to look for other funding sources.
Okay, great. Maybe the feedback I'd heard was maybe because it came from the county instead of the Ice Age. Is that fair?
Just state your questioning and just,
So when it came to structures like the raised path, the boardwalk, I had heard that it was a desire for the city to finance that portion of the Ice Age Trail if we were to go with option 1.
nothing had been agreed upon at all. If there was any conversations, they were just in meeting context.
Okay,
but
nothing official?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about is there anything else on option 1 that I haven't?
If we could go on, if you want, we can go into the matrix that was prepared on the permit element, but I think let's keep it high level at this point right now, and then you can ask what questions you want to know about option 5, and I will put that on the screen here.
Yeah, so let's talk about option 5.
So I'll just give an overview of what option 5 is. This was prepared by the residents, so we thank you. So the paved path would be along the Lincoln Street channel, along the west side of the page, and then connect into the ice rink. The connection point would be westerly than the pine forest that everyone's aware of, which is right in here. The paved connection to Arborvitae Place would occur in any option, but then the Ice Age Trail would remain on the north side of Badger Mill Creek until it reaches the Military Ridge Reserve Bridge that's currently in existence, and then realign to the south side, and on an exact location to be determined, but very close to the edge of the wood line, through the gardens, and then connect back into the trail that uses the bridge near Old PB. There would be a small reconstruction area between the pine forest and the paved path for the Ice Age Trail on the north side, but that would be very easy to complete because they would utilize the new bridge that would be installed as part of our path project. So the current bridge that is at the pine forest would be removed. So that's the overview of the alignments for the paved path and the Ice Age Trail. So the cost is obviously Option 5 is cheaper. It's not in a direct alignment to the junction of the Military Ridge State Trail on the south side of the Little League complex that also connects to other path systems that the county owns and goes north under East Verona Avenue. But it still is a connection point that you can still get there. You can get to the Military Ridge State Trail. It's just a different alignment. And one of the different elements between the permit applications is temporary versus permanent wetland impacts. So the paved path option in option 1 actually creates a permanent impact, even though MMSD's project would be creating that temporary impact. The option 5 wetland impacts are very minimal on a permanent impact. So that's an advantage right there from a permitting aspect, which the DNR will like. Cost is always one. These are estimates, obviously from a planning level, and the details will come out as design comes through, but I'm confident in the prices that MSA has put together.
That's fair. So looking at option 5 here, and this is something, I was on the Ice Age Trail yesterday, thinking about the original intentions of the bike ped study of creating more connectivity around the city for people to bike and walk with. Frankly, I question even putting in option 5 because of its proximity to Lincoln Street. It parallels Lincoln Street. Lincoln Street is already connected via bridge on this trail. I really don't know, because it is being pushed so far west, that it's worth doing this.
You do have the neighborhood connectivity, though, from the East View and the Military Ridge State Trail, that it provides that connectivity to the East Verona Avenue and the downtown area. So there is that advantage of it.
I don't know how that's any different than Lincoln Street, though. I mean, we're talking
It's just,
200 yards at parallel?
yeah, you're off-road versus on-road.
Right. Well, and the thing is, Lincoln Street's a very wide road.
Correct.
I walk it frequently with my dogs. I mean, frankly, I'm having a hard time supporting not extending towards the remaining baseball fields that are out here. I saw value in using option 1 because it got out to the edge of the city where the football and lacrosse fields are, where the 4-diamond baseball fields are. It's also a handy way to get up into the business park that is north of East Verona Avenue there. Mm-hmm. I think adding this extra route, which is only 200 yards off, and that's my guess, it could maybe 300 yards off of Lincoln Street, really doesn't add a whole lot of value to the area. Mara, do you have any thoughts?
No, I'm interested in the public comment.
Okay, well, then I think it's time. Please bring yourselves up to the podium. I think there's a lot here to think about. I mean, welcome to the journey of trying to decide what's right for the city. It's never easy, right? And I think it's important for everyone to kind of step back and take a look at the big picture of everything that's here and really decide on our own, or as a community, what we want. So please come on up.
Pat, if you could just state your name for the record and then sign in too, and
Okay.
thank you. You got it, or you want me to do it?
I got it.
Okay.
My name is Pat Bergen, and I live at 716 Arborvitae Lane, which is very close to the Arborvitae Trail. And I talked to a lot of people going up and down the trail, and the constant among the people is they like the Ice Age Trail located on the north side of the trail of the Badger Mill Creek. Option 1, which garnered only 6% of the survey votes, move the trail off the north side of the creek. It would replace the walking path with an asphalt road 10 feet wide with 3 feet borders on each side. The options 3, 4, and 5 garnered 70% of the vote. compared with only 6% with option 1, which means 94% of the respondents did not vote for option 1. Why? Our proposal is that the paved path go directly north somewhere from the existing Military Ridge Trail, and this will provide direct access for the Military Ridge and Eastview Heights neighborhoods to Hometown Festival Park, the ice arena, the skateboard ramp, the ball fields, and the Military Ridge. That means that people who live in these neighborhoods will have direct access to either walking or riding their bikes as such things as hometown days. Kids could also ride their bikes back and forth from the ice arena, the skate park, or the ball fields, avoiding streets. And considering that we're in an urban growth spurt here downtown, you must assume that there's going to be a lot more people in the downtown area traveling and driving cars. We are grateful that the Ice Age Trail has read through the comments of the survey, and based on those comments and responses they've seen, they stated they are intending to align the Ice Age Trail as shown in our write-in option number 5. Number 5 was a write-in because it wasn't able to be presented on the survey. So 50% of the people who voted on this actually took the time to read the scenarios, look at the options, and pick a vote, and 70% of them want option 5. Our proposal also includes environmental stewardship. With the rapid growth of Verona, the triangle area next to the Military Ridge Reserve is an increasingly important environmental natural area. With the completion of Phase 1, this is the last bastion of unfettered land on the south side of the creek. It is home to cranes, heron, geese, ducks, hawks, owls, turkeys, 30 species of birds that live in or travel through the area, and many animals such as fox, coyote, otters, deer travel this land for shelter. So
Hey,
in
Pat, you're
summary,
at 3 minutes. Are you close to being finished?
I am.
Great.
I'll summarize it, okay? So in summary, this is a win for everybody because it provides connectivity from the Eastview Heights and Military Ridge communities to and from Festival Park, the ice arena, the skate park, and the ball fields. It is a direct route which takes kids off the streets and puts them on a safe pathway. This plan allows people to travel through the Pine Grove, by Kaya's Bench, and along the north side of the Ice Age Trail, which people love. It provides sanctuary for animals that live up and down the Badger Mill Creek. And it's for these reasons I ask you to vote for option number 5.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else?
I'm a little shorter than Pat. All right, I'm Beth Tucker Long, and I'm here as a private citizen, not as a member of the Plan Commission, just to make that very clear. I also reside near the arborvitae side of the trail, but not directly on it. And we use that trail all the time to get places. And I just wanted to touch on something, Evan, you had said about it not really providing any new connectivity, except that it does provide new connectivity for our neighborhood, because right now we either have to travel down to Lincoln Street or we have to travel up to the Prairie Loop. And if the bike path just runs along the existing trail, I don't see anyone needing to use the arborvitae connection to it, because they're either going to use the Prairie Loop to connect to it, or they're going to use Lincoln Street Bridge, because because in between there, you still have to run the full route to either one of those two places to get off the trail. And so having something in the middle would be really fantastic. I know Pat already mentioned, but the Ice Arena Festival Park for, all the events that happen there, the baseball fields up there by the Ice Arena, and the skate park would be great. A lot of the kids ride their skateboards to the skate park, and it's going to be much more difficult on an unpaved trail to get there. So having that connectivity, a lot of the kids on skateboards and bikes like to come down the hill from Harvest as it dead ends into Arborvitae because it's a big steep hill, and then they ride down to the trail, and it would be great if it was a paved trail, because we do see a number of kids wiping out because it's not paved and they are trying to take their bikes and or their skateboards to the skate park that way, because there's no other direct route except an unpaved path that way. So I would be strongly in favor of that. Additionally, as Pat mentioned, if we don't have to disturb another area, that'd be great. If we didn't have to disturb another area, it's also less paving, so we'd have more impervious structure, or we'd have less impervious pavement to deal with and to maintain. That area has already been leveled because of the work that was done there over the last couple of years. And additionally, if the Ice Age Trail does have to move to the south side of the creek, that area of the creek is underwater for a good 2 months every spring. I mean, standing water, not just soggy. It's soggy year-round, but standing water. So you would have to build up a berm or something. And because the berm has already been built up on the north side of the creek, your view is going to be a berm on your left and mowed yards on your right. And so it's not a nice view. And the Pine Grove with Kaya's Memorial Bench is one of our favorite places on the Ice Age Trail in Verona, like in the whole city. It's such a nice area, and we're also very concerned that paving that bike path would require chopping down those pine trees. And we'd lose the one area, because even if you're careful to only remove a few trees, paving that area will disrupt the root structure of that entire pine grove, and very likely we'd lose the whole thing. So, thank you.
I know. And just to be clear, we never intended on touching the pine forest and Kai's Bench. It was always, even when, before the project started a number of years ago, we talked to the county and said, this needs to stay and not be touched. So just to be clear.
Can I ask a question then?
Sure.
How would you pave the bike path through there without touching the pine grove forest?
You would go around the outside of it or
So-
go to the east.
Over to the county land?
It's all county land right
No,
now.
but I mean like around the county land side or the north side?
I can answer that. So option one, I'm going to zoom in here, so just give me a second.
And just note, as someone who knew Kaya, I would not be comfortable disturbing that area.
Thank you.
My mouse is outlining the pine forest roughly. The path would extend east on the south side to get east of the pine forest and then cross the Badger Mill Creek and then continue easterly, so we would avoid it entirely.
Then how could people get to Kaya's Bench?
We'd have to backtrack.
And that path is already there through the grove, so it's not a disturbance.
Hi, Jed Cahoon, Verona city resident. Most importantly, thank you to the committee for taking your time to allow us to make public comment tonight. It's greatly appreciated. I'll keep my comments extremely brief so that they're not redundant. I have just 2 points. Number one, related to the survey responses. 70% of people have indicated that they want the paved path along the Lincoln City channel. Only 6 people want it on the north or the south side of Badger Mill Creek. To me, that speaks very clearly to the citizens' interest in where they place the paved path. The second piece, just to build on Pat's comments, the neighborhood came up with option 5 not as a compromise at all. It's a solution that meets all needs. A compromise is where you give something up. This is a gain in this case. 3 points where we get that gain. The city can pave the path for a more affordable option along the Lincoln City Channel that's already nicely graded. I walked it to get here. The Ice Age Trail, we heard clearly, had an interest in maintaining a proximity or a distance from the paved path to where they're walking. This gives us the greatest distance of all those options. We won't have bikers 30 feet across a channel from walkers as we would in option 1. We're going to put distance between them. And third, we've also heard very clearly from everyone involved, the city, the Ice Age Trail, the county, that the long-term perseverance and value of this piece is going to be based on volunteerism. I've been involved in these projects. To make it work, it has to be a we project. You need the neighbors out there taking care of this in the long term. If you alienate them, I'm concerned that that won't happen. It's not going to be a we project. We need to all be involved in creating a more holistic solution. And to me, option 5 gives us the best option to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't be bashful, I'm just writing. Leave them out.
Thank you.
You can go ahead while I write, maybe.
So, as someone who bikes along the current trail quite often, for me, if the current trail was paved into a bike trail and then there was one on the other side of the creek for walkers, that would make it significantly more frustrating for biking because I like mountain biking and the pine forest and the current trail is really good for that. And then if that was paved, then it would get in the way of that, but also is really nice, like with option 5, having a paved way to get closer to the, I forgot what it's called, the place where Hometown Days is. It would be really nice to be able to get there on a trail instead of having to go all the way to the baseball parking lot and then all the way around, because there have been a couple times where I've wanted to bike there, but it was getting late and there wouldn't be enough time to bike there, so I wasn't able to go. And that's really annoying. And another thing too is, like, if there is a paved path for bikers to go straight there, but there's also the walking path still where it is right now, then that would give multiple options for whether you wanted to bike on a paved path or on like a mountain biking path. Whereas if it was on the other side of the creek, then there wouldn't be that way to get to that Hometown Days area on a paved trail. It would still be that same really long route, and there wouldn't be that simplicity in getting there.
My name is Amanda Mitchell. I'm also a resident of the Arborvitae place, and my backyard butts up against the south side of the creek. Not all the way, there's space in between. But I appreciate that the Ice Age Trail has agreed to go to the north side, because there was some significant concern for the safety of our kids having the path so close on the south side of the creek, because it wouldn't be that much for someone to walk into my backyard and start talking to my small kids. And so I very much appreciate that they are looking at the north side. To address your comment about the extra 200 yards, it's about a quarter of a mile. And when you have small children, a quarter of a mile is a significant distance. Their legs are not that long. They love the Lincoln Street parks, and we have tried many ways to figure out how to not have to go all the way down to the covered bridge, because they want to find a way to be able to enjoy more of the parks, and walking there with them or riding a bike with them is a lot of work, and it's an effort. And so having that quarter of a mile less and being able to drop us into the parks would make their day. I cannot even quite express how much they would love it. I think I would end up spending more time there than my backyard or the Rainbow Park, which is just up the street. So I just wanted to express that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is David Lonserv. I'm not a city resident. Am I still allowed to speak?
Sure.
So, thanks. I've been the Ice Age Trail volunteer who's been the steward for this area for the last 15 years at least. And I'd just like to make a couple of comments. First of all, if we come up with an option that people that live nearby like and want to volunteer, I'd love to see them out volunteering. And all the work that I've been doing the last 15 years, I've had constantly signs up along the trail asking people to contact me or to volunteer if they want to help maintain any part of the corridor. And I've never had anyone contact me or offer to do that. There's a group that's now formed to try to help to take care of the corridor, and I hope if we can work out a solution that more people will step up and help volunteer to take care of it. Secondly, I think I heard the person who's talking about riding bike along the trails. I was a little confused about which trail we're talking about, but I wanted to emphasize that the Ice Age Trail is not a biking trail. So if we're talking about riding a mountain bike over the rough areas of the trail or something like that, that's not allowed, and I hope won't be allowed in the city in the future. And the last thing is that I really resent this idea that somehow perverts and child molesters are walking on the Ice Age Trail. I know it's in the proximity of people's homes. That's the whole point of the trail going through urban areas. It's to make it accessible to people who live nearby. And it doesn't have any higher proportion of criminals or people who will molest children than the other side, like the streets or the sidewalks in the city. So I know people have made comments like that, but I guess I'd just like to say, please show the evidence before we make allegations like that. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. I just want to add, my house corners near the Ice Age Trail and I use it frequently. And I also have some neighbors that their backyards are up against it. I've seen them frequently address trees that have gone across the trail. So I know that people are involved, just maybe not directly with the organization. So and I know that a lot of people do, as they encounter it, maintain what they can. So, and I've even went down there once with a chainsaw just to clear the path for people. This was a number of years ago, but. So I like your idea of actually officially volunteering versus just maintaining. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Tim Rosenfeld. I am also a Verona citizen. I live across the street, so I'm at 715 Arborvitae. And just to this gentleman's point, I've seen Pat himself out there constantly helping clean, helping snip wild parsnip, whatever it may be, kind of to your point, not necessarily in the official capacity, but certainly an unofficial one. I will say all of us, to Jed's point, care very deeply about the path and about what's doing right. Sorry, got it talking on the mic. My apologies. It's part of our life, and I know it's part of everybody's life in here. It's a big part of Verona, but living, waking up and seeing the path every morning, I don't think there's a day goes by that I'm not on the path, and that I can speak for also my neighbors in that capacity, and we care deeply about it, want what's best, and these people care. So that's sort of what the point I want to make. So thank you.
I'm not sure where this picks me up. Should I move it? How about now? All right, let's get close and there. Okay, thanks. My name is Jocelyn. I'm also a city resident, and I also appreciate your time here to hear public comment, and also appreciate the participants of our community coming in. I just wanted to say that we have, coming up on 20 years, we've lived in Verona, and we've lived 3 different places, and the last time we moved adjacent to the Ice Age Trail, and that was a big reason we moved there instead of moving out of town, because we valued the natural space in the city. It's something we liked, you know, appreciating the forest and the animals and the creek. So I think there's a lot of people in Verona that value that, and if you take out the city map and look, the area we're talking about is one of the few areas that is natural in the city remaining. So I think choosing to pave additional area against the recommendation of the Ice Age Trail would be not in the city's best interest long-term for having natural areas. I'm a little nervous because I didn't know you could public comment, so I didn't prepare anything. But the other thing I just wanted to bring up was the option 5 paved trail along the reservoir, and the comment you made, Evan, about it not being that far from Lincoln Street. In my, as many other people do, I walk and bike to all these businesses and sporting facilities and downtown on this area, and have for about 8 years. And that's actually a very convenient place to come out. If you look at the map, it's right next to the softball fields, right at Festival Park. I think it definitely provides connectivity. And I think if you're going to question 94% of the feedback and say, oh, I think we should go option 1, you should take the time to make closer measurements, and businesses, not just think like, well, it's not that much closer. I would think to go against the overwhelming public opinion, you'd want to do a lot more detailed research, because I definitely support for our family that connectivity is valuable, and actually coming out way over there by PB takes you away from connecting under the tunnel through up to the new businesses like the coffee shop and stuff that's up there, daycare. So I think I would just strongly speak that I don't think that's accurate, that it's more convenient to go shoot way out on the end of town than up there next to the new holding pond. Thank you again.
Anyone else? See a few people in the audience that haven't spoken yet. All right, well, thank you again. Last chance, I'm going to close public comments, excuse me. Don't normally have them, so I'm not used to verbalizing it. So going once, twice. All right, well, thank you again, everybody, for sharing your feedback. And I'm just going to add, you know, my concerns doesn't mean we won't do. It just like all of you, I'm trying to share my thought and input into the situation, why I think some things are important. You know, as I continue to look at the map, and Andy, can you flip it back, please? It's okay. You know, you know, sitting on council and geez, I'm on my 11th year right now. I know of other discussions that are happening around the city, and these are all the things that I try to keep in mind and trying to be thoughtful about the city and what we're doing. You know, there is definitely been discussions, and nothing for sure, nothing permanent, about extending the city to the east. You know, there are home property owners out there that want to sell their farms, sell them to developers, whether it's residential or commercial. And the possibilities of our city growing east is real. So when I look at, you know, the Military Ridge Reserve, which I walk that frequently with my dogs, and we'll use that to get the festival foods from time to time. When I see tread marks in that path, I know kids are riding it. I think about their safety. I think about just even the mess that comes with it. And these are all things that I've tried to take into consideration when we talk about these things. I also just try to be a good steward with our money, right? Being on city council, my professional career, I treat everything when it comes to money as though it's my money. And how do I get the best bang for the buck? Where is our priorities? And I'm definitely hearing from all of you that preserving where the Ice Age Trail is important. That's a priority. I think the residents along Arborvitae are concerned about extra traffic behind their homes. They're not used to having it. I definitely agree that, it is concerning when these changes come. It's scary. So just trying to add some extra context. I am hearing you and listening to you. Frankly, I'd be surprised if the committee supports option 1, but I think it's important for us to explore it, to kind of push it, consider it. Still doesn't get traction, then it's not going to happen. So I don't want to speak for the rest of the members of our committee, but just trying to share with you the thought processes, the considerations we have, the effort that we put into it, the amount of effort the city staff put into coming up with these options. Option 5 came from the respondents. That's important. That's huge, high value for all of us. So thank you. Please don't get the sense I'm discounting it. I just think it's really important that we keep an open mind, re-explore these options. It really does come down to the council to decide what's going to happen, but your feedback is really important. So again, thank you. Lastly, if you have not used the Ice Age Trail very much, I'm a large fan. I've backpacked on it quite a bit. Please explore it for sure. There's a lot of people that aren't aware of this gem. I actually took it a little further south towards New Glarus over the weekend. Beautiful scenery, especially this time of year. So, please get out there. It's pretty interesting where it winds around. So with that, I'm opening up to the rest of the committee for discussion. Please.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say that I'm very appreciative of all of you coming here today. I know that oftentimes we do not hear public comment, and it's very hard to make decisions as a council person or on committee without the input of the people who live here. It's one of the reasons that I ran for office, is that I want people to feel more comfortable being in this space. I appreciate the age range of the people that came. I think it's important that everybody's views are heard. For me, what I'm hearing is functionality is really important for the people who live in the community, which that's why you're all here. So I'm so grateful, because without you all being here, I wouldn't have not heard any of that. Reading it in an email, I can tell you, is not the same as hearing it in your voices and seeing your faces. It does matter. So please just know that I'm super grateful, and I will definitely take everything that you said. I've written notes about everybody. What you've said, it's very meaningful to me as we make these next decisions. So thank you.
Darren did correct me. This doesn't go to council, and actually we get to decide. No pressure. This is an actionable item. Let me just re-pull up the...
I would like direction from the committee so we can move forward.
So,
Is there anything else you want to tell us, Theron, before we, from the feedback that you've heard?
I guess I'll answer your question with a question. Is there any questions that you have that we haven't fulfilled of any information? I can talk engineering all night, but I'll put everyone to sleep in the crowd.
I've heard this, so I have kids too, and the functionality of getting kids to where they need to be in a safe way, easy, so that they can use our city in the way that it's meant to be used, right? That they have access. We talk about the differences in location. I've heard, some people are saying it's a short distance or long distance. What is the actual distance between the?
I'd have to measure it. I could pull it up on the map here, and it's not a full 40. I think it's half of a 40, so you're looking at 680 feet.
Okay.
So.
Significant. Is there any, is there any reason that you see that path not being doable? You said at the outset that it was a doable thing for you.
We can build either option.
Yeah.
All these options are constructible, meaning 1 through 5. So I'm not going to bring an option that's not constructible.
My personal preference is to vote for number 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to do the same, just given community feedback. I mean, Arborvitae, I think, has definitely provided the lion's share of the feedback here, which obviously is a direct impact.
I think the users of this space should get, and they have clearly, there's been a clearly resounding voice on what should be done here. I don't feel like we as a committee should make a different outcome that the users of this space do not want.
Right. It is, and I'm, not knowing any specific discussions of what's happening on the east side of County Highway 18, it's hard for me to take too much of that into consideration right now, but it's just something I know that has been in discussions. I certainly have a desire to connect from a pedestrian and bicycle perspective all of the edges of our city to get to downtown in a safe and efficient manner. I also know that we've been working with the county to get the Ice Age Trail paved for Military Ridge Trail.
DNR and Military Ridge State Trail.
Thank you, appreciate that. You can just stay on the microphone there
Yep.
and correct me all day long. No, but the intent here is try to keep everyone safe, make it enjoyable. I think this trail, option 5, does create a safe, enjoyable space. I completely understand the concerns of people going through next to your backyard. This wouldn't be directly in your backyard, but it would be near, and I understand that. At the same time, I cherish the Ice Age Trail and am very open to finding a reasonable solution that works with them. But in the end, not disturbing it is the easiest thing to do, as much as we can at least. Easy doesn't necessarily make it the best decision, but it's easy. I still openly question the value of putting in this trail so close to Lincoln Street. Yes, it's easier for little kids. It is safer because there's no cars, right? There's nobody driving on that trail. It would not connect to the park because there's still a creek separating that. If we wanted to add a bridge, I believe it's about a $300,000 ad for us to do that piece, if that might be something we want to consider in the future. Yeah, for me, the ice rink, and if you're not aware, they're adding another sheet of ice. They're extending that building. That's going to create some more popularity there. Seeing a kid in the middle of winter hauling their gear in that trail would be kind of funny, but maybe not funny, but scary. I don't know. But in the end, I think it's important we do something, and getting it connected to the Military Ridge Straight Trail is important. There's going to be a day where your high school kids are going to be jumping on that trail to go to school. I think the hometown circle, I think it's called the circle above where Blaine's Farm and Fleet and all those shops are. I don't necessarily believe that this will serve them as easily, but I think it'll help. So with that, that's my opinion, and I think as a committee, this is our opportunity to give Theron feedback. So, Mara, like you, I'm going to recommend option 5. Rye, do you have any feedback?
Second, though?
Oh, I wasn't in a motion. I was just trying to get feedback.
Okay.
I'm going to make a motion to approve option 5 to move forward with.
I second. Last chance for comments. All's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Option 5 it is, everybody. Thank you. We're going to try to move along to the remaining items. If any of you have comments, or you think you might have comments, please raise your hand now for the remaining items, and I will then make that an option. Oh,
Everyone else is free to go, though. You don't have to sit and wait.
Unless you want to see more beer.
I'm sure the room will clear.
Interaction.
Thanks, Kevin.
If we wanted to add
All right, let's try to keep this moving quickly. Item number 5, discussion action regarding driveway easement, 701 South Nine Mound Road.
This driveway easement between the city of Verona and the owner of 701 South Nine Mound is for the ability to have a driveway connection to the property from South Nine Mound Road in the future for development purposes. The easement boundary aligns with the half-mile road to the east. The location of the easement is within the abandoned US Highway 18-151 half-mile road right-of-way that the Wisconsin Department of Transportation transferred land rights to the city on January 30th, 2017, under document number 5302618 as an outlot. City staff coordinated with WSDOT, confirmed that this driveway easement does not breach any conditions of the WSDOT city transaction from 2016/17. City attorney has approved the document. Staff supports this also.
Remind me, is this a council item?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any contingencies or anything I need to?
That's good to go.
Fantastic. With that, I'm making a motion. Might as well be on recording, sorry, Andy. With that, I'm making a motion to recommend approval to the council regarding project ID, sorry, driveway easement at 701 South Nine Mound Road.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, item 6, discussion action regarding change order number 1 for project closeout for project ID 2018-114 Lincoln Street Stormwater Management Facility.
Thank you. Drax Construction has substantially completed the project. Change order number 1 is to rectify as-built quantities for the work required to complete the project. Contract values are noted below. Original contract value of $1,573,538.0. Change order number 1 is an add of $19,165.50. After incorporating this change order, the new contract value will be $1,592,203.50. Project closeout documentation has been provided from the contractor to close out the contract.
Fantastic, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Jacobson? I see none. Too many windows open. With that, I will make a motion to recommend approval to the council for change order number 1 and project closeout for project 2018-114 Lincoln Street Stormwater Management Facility. Is there a second?
Second.
No more comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And take the nod as a yes. Item 7, discussion and action regarding change order number 2 for project 2022-101, 2022 City of Verona Asphaltic Street Rehabilitation.
Thank you. Wolf Construction has substantially completed the project. Change order number 2 is to rectify as-built quantities for the work required to complete the project. The contract notes are as follows. The award value is $195,990. Previous change order number 1 was an add of $33,000. This change order number 2 is a deduct of $3,995.31. After incorporating this change order, the contract value is $224,994.69. Project closeout documentation has been requested from the contractor to finalize the contract.
Any contingencies on this one?
No.
Fantastic. Questions? None? With that, I'm making a motion to recommend approval to the council for change order number 2 for project 2022-101, 2022 City of Verona Asphaltic Street Rehabilitation. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 6 o'clock.
Not too bad.